What's up, baby dolls? I want to do a very quick update on the pulse to hex ratio. We've been covering it a lot here, but it's fascinating to see. This was the crunch time, okay? This was the absolute crunch time because if you see here, the pulse hex ratio has reversed it. You see that epic move? If I go down to like just a 15-minute chart, you can see this. This is like bang. You see this reversal? This is insanely bullish for pulse and pulse hex at the expense of pHEX. So what this ratio means is this was basically people selling eHEX to rotate into pHEX. And Richard Hart saying pHEX is the way, pHEX is the way. But it's actually come back, reversed most of the move. This is like shocking because you would think what would be happening is you would think that all of the eHEX money rotating into pHEX at that time as people capitulate, you think that it would like really crush that ratio and it would send it back to the bottom zone. That's what you thought would have happened. And guess what? When I made my tweet, it was actually down here. I told everybody down here, I go, hey man, I actually said, now is your time. If you wanted to rotate your pHEX out, you don't like this identity crisis, you don't like all this uncertainty, this is your time now. And then smack up. Look how much it actually went up, friends. That's actually insane. Wow, you've gained 41% on pHEX. So what happens now? Look, of course, pulse and hex, friends, I know there's a lot of people have not been paying attention whatsoever outside of the friendship cult. Yes, we have been overweight pulse and pulsex since the bottom. We basically nearly went all in anyway. So we don't even have much pHEX or eHEX. Okay, it's been dispersed out. So I don't know what everyone's complaining about. Well, I know what they're complaining about because they looked at one thing and they think, oh, you're going to have this way forever. No, man, we had like 40 videos and 100 posts saying, no, we're overweight pulse and pulsex. And now the ratio's in between, remember? So it is what it is coming in now. If people can't get to terms with reality, well, look, I've also made another post about karma. You see, this is, I spoke about this. If you remember, friends, like it's been 8 months. Wow, it's been quite a long time. And what I told you was, you see if this ratio plays out going up, all the pHEX maxi type of people, all their talking points. Now, friends, I don't have an opinion, right? I don't really care. All I just say, oh, I think the price is too cheap or too expensive. That's it. But all the pHEX maxi people, all of their anti-eHEX talking points, it's going to come back to haunt them in a very bad way because as this ratio goes up, what that means is PulseChain continues to store more value than HEX. So why would you onboard family friends saying, hey, buy this thing, it's a store of value? You go, okay, but Richard Hart's other coin is actually storing more value. And you know what? Today, friends, PulseChain has actually flipped pHEX. Did you know that? You know, PulseChain is 2.8 billion valuation and pHEX is only 1.9 billion. Whoa. So Pulse is storing 50% more value, non-origin address, than pHEX. So is this you got to interpret the market. You go, okay, wait, that's weird. There's a store of value coin, but it's not storing as much value as this other new thing. So obviously that's what's going to happen as the ratio disconnects. Now, I don't know how high they'll go. A lot of people, friends, every single day, people are calling for the death of Somi. Every single day. Everyone was saying this is going to go down here. HEX is going to take over. And I was like, look, man, I'm not forcing my will on the market as well. I just think karma comes to people. That's it. I think all of the anti-eHEX rhetoric and talking and spitting, man, people think friends, I have no skin in that game, okay, because I'm just fine. But unfortunately, a lot of people are hurt. I really do think karma will come back to haunt them. And that's why I've already seen people, by the way, you know, the big round of 5-year stakers is coming for pHEX at the end of this year. So if they drag the system down, and you'll see that by Pulse versus HEX continuing to go up and go back here, if you see this actually continue, remember, this is risk off. And this went and risk on. So if you continue to see that, well, is where basically the community is shooting itself in the foot. All of the anti-eHEX talking points, everybody who's a Pulse and PulseX maxi, they're going to be saying, hey, you are the troubled child now. You know, we killed off eHEX. We got to kill you off. We got to chop the limb off your dead weight now on the boat. Because they are. It's liquidity bonded, right? So, you know, it'd be interesting though, if Richard removed the HEX and Pulse Inc. farm, how far do you think pHEX would drown? That's something to think about. Thing is, friends, this is important. This ratio has been going up. Pulse has been gaining on HEX. so far with the liquidity bonding. So he's basically been incentivizing it. So it's crazy. Like, how high would this be if it wasn't there? So we're all going to wait and see what happens. I also made a post here as well. Like, a lot of pHEX maxis, once again, bless their hearts, not paying attention whatsoever. Like, you're being crushed by Richard Hart's new coins. I've been asking everyone, what are you celebrating, bro? Bitcoin is on the verge of hitting $72,000 now. Broke the all-time high again. Ethereum is $4,000 plus. HEX is down 95%. We're waiting for the SAC funds to deploy. Richard's basically long Ethereum for the ETF. That's what it's come down to. So the T-shares and the game theory and the staking and all of this, it's... Where is it? It's not me talking. It's you guys talking. You guys aren't buying it, okay? That you're literally not buying the NAV. You're not putting your money in to do it. You know, it's funny. They celebrated this mad victory, friends. It was crazy because I wake up and I get to see all these. And when you wake up, okay, I got to see the price chart down, but then I also got to witness everybody looking at pHEX. And then pHEX spiked up and it comes back down. I want to show you this is what's been going on. This is just unfortunate reality, right? So after Richard's tweets, I mean, from this top, total HEX is down 22%. That's total HEX. So that price should go up if eHEX all rotated to pHEX and it was net zero. It actually should stay the same, but it didn't. It actually lost 20% of value. So once again, that's not me speaking. That's people saying, I don't like what's going on. I'm kind of bailing out. But effectively what they've done is they pushed the ratio of Pulse to HEX more. So I hope that makes sense to you. You're saying, okay, well, if there's two twins, right, energy force goes from one to the other, sweet. The total combined should be the same, but they're not. They're not. People are leaving again, bleeding. So they're just waiting for everything to play out. So I like this Pulse HEX ratio. Look, I know everybody's just shell-shocked. I'm also shell-shocked because I'm like, you know, I don't know what everyone's celebrating. Like, everybody in crypto posts that eHEX linear chart. It is what it is, okay? That's for you guys. I mean, if you guys are going to be staked and committed for 10 to 15 years, and you guys got to handle the 10-year stakes of HEX coming out in 5 years and all the other big stakes, you've got to convince people that it's great and all this. So that's the job, I guess, for the community out here. So none of my targets have actually changed. None of my targets have changed. Remember, I did not know about the ratios and stuff, okay? I did not know how everything was going to play out, but I always valued Richard Hart as like one coin. It was always one coin. We're just playing around the sandbox here with the Pulse and HEX ratio. Sorry, Pulse versus HEX ratio being overweight Pulse and PulseX. And I like that as well. I'm going to tell you, for onboarding, ain't no way I'm taking risks on pHEX or any of this. I'm sure you guys aren't either, because you're like, well, you know, all these uncertainties here and there just makes people come to question things. So where do you think is going to happen, friends? That's why I try very, very hard just to keep you informed, to do all these. I know a lot of people, unfortunately, lost on eHEX. A lot of people still don't get the memo, friends. I'm completely fine. I mentioned all these portfolio rotations ages, and if you, my friend Tech and everybody else, they're not paying attention, every single time I was like, look, man, do like, you know, a third of each, do like 70% Pulse and PulseX, do 30% towards the weighted end. It is what it is, okay? Now, interesting as well, because eHEX went down to this ratio, friends, there are actually coffin emojis. Okay, literally, there's actual coffin emojis for eHEX saying it's dead. Sweet. I mean, you can say it's dead. I don't really care. I just think this is nice. I think it's a nice price. I think I can see it back here one day. By the way, that means pHEX is getting outperformed. I can see it back up here one day. I don't know what that is. It could go lower. I'll DCA more. Like, if you want to give me 1 to 100, sweet, I'll take that. It is what it is. Just be ready to do that. Remember, this took 3 months. It could take 3 months here as well. And then something happens up here. That's also possible. Remember, you still got the BankX war. But a lot of people, this is funny, a lot of people blindsided. They're cheering pHEX, but what they're saying is, friends, they're misinterpreting. They're thinking I'm doubling down on eHEX. No. I've told you many times, I didn't like this ratio of 0.6. I've said this, like, you know, for like 5 months. This is the whole time. I've said, I don't like this ratio, is not cheap to me. It's in the middle. Okay, this ratio is cheap. That's why I have this whole box drawn. But I know, man, a lot of people just don't get it. They're copers. What have they done for you? They've just basically told you to go buy stuff that goes down forever. They're not doing the hard work for you. Or if they are, they're basically charging you trash mastermind prices, okay? So I like these prices down here. It's coffin emoji all over again. That's cool. But now, like, I'll be honest, I mean, this dream for parity, look, I don't even want to be in it. It's kind of like, well, if the eHEX thing kind of gets strength, at that point, I'll be like, all right, well, I probably want to rotate into Pulse and PulseX. That's a profit in there. Or take half out and do whatever. Just, I wouldn't want to just play around back with the pHEX game. It's just, it's too much uncertainty going on there. But you know, the ratio is cheap. It is what it is. But it's more like, well, Pulse versus HEX is PulseChain storing more value than your store of value coin. Explain that one for me. That's why, friends, when Ethereum flips Bitcoin, it will be monumental. Monumentally big. Because then you ask, wait a minute, Bitcoin's a store of value coin. Ethereum's storing more value than Bitcoin. So what's Bitcoin? I told you that was going to be probably the biggest alt season of our lives when that happens. Because it's going to be like, oh my gosh, everything can fit Bitcoin. And there'll probably be a big mania. I've been prophesizing this since like 2019, 2020 when I first learned about Ethereum. Okay, so that's just something to think about. Okay, so also got to think, PulseChain continue to outperform pHEX. I already know, friends. I know what you are going to do. You're not going to listen to me. I know you, the friendship call. Of course you are. But I already know what people are going to do. They're going to not do anything. They're cheering on pHEX now. And then if my prophecy completes and we go up here, or dare I say even here, you know what that means, man? That means from here, that means our Pulse versus PulseX outperformed HEX by 3.6x. We beat a 15-year stake. That's how slow HEX is, but pHEX. So if we got to that point, friends, up here, I'm probably anticipating people will then sell their pHEX and go buy Pulse and PulseX up here. They're saying, oh, it's trash, it's slow. But that might actually be the point where it kind of like has this mean reversion dip thing for the bull market before it goes off and does the big one. So I'm already thinking multiple steps ahead of the game. And also got to repeat to you, yes, if you've been watching my videos, we want to do the great chew. If the market bought into the eHEX wall, the market didn't buy into the eHEX wall. It tapped it a tiny bit from that martini guy, and then it dropped again. Okay, so this, why I'm spending a lot of time, this is very lucrative to get these things right. Very lucrative. I know it doesn't make much sense to you now, but it's huge. Every single bunny hop you can do in Rich and Hart core coins is big, because as you already see, friends, with 6 to 7 billion valuation for all the coins, you know what I mean? He's trying to drag it up. By the way, think about this. We reversed his $14 million injection already. Okay, so but basically the whole ecosystem is basically just long Ethereum right now, waiting for Richard to deploy. It is what it is, okay? But I still stand by it. And look, if Pulse versus HEX get back to this zone, sweet. I'll just load up more on Pulse and PulseX, knowing that this is going to happen again and probably break it later on. But I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to get down there. So only you can decide, friends. That's why you can cheat for yourself. You can look for leverage on HEX, okay? You can do that for yourself if you want. Because then you can have less exposure, right? So if I was starting today, for example, let's say you're like, oh, man, I don't know what to do. I don't know. You put like 90% Pulse and PulseX, and that last 10%, you split it up between what you think leverage on pHEX would be. That's just one example of what to do. There's a lot of things you can do, but at the end of the day, most people are just sick of it. They're like, hey, that kind of sucks. Bitcoin's $72,000. Why are we still down 95%? I know, I don't have any answers for you. It's just, it is what it is, friends. It's the market's not treating HEX like a store of value coin. It's treating it like a DeFi altcoin, okay? One thing I know though, PulseX has auto buy and burn, and PulseChain is a cheaper Ethereum, and people are probably going to have the Ethereum ETF mania. It's just thinking about it, okay? So don't forget, it loves you. Got a bull hat on. Moo. Like, subscribe, bitty button. I'll catch you soon.